You're live.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this evening's Committee of Adjustment for August 17th, 2021. This is a virtual meeting which you can, that's coming to you by Zoom. You can watch it on the Town of Greater Napanee YouTube page, and the agenda will be you'll be able to access it at greaternapanee.com. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda for this evening as presented, please. Moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor McCormack. Comments or questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried unanimously, please. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, I need motion for the adoption of the minutes of the Committee of Adjustments, July 26th, 2021, as presented. Moved by Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Richardson. Comments or questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Land severance applications, 5.1, land severance application PLCOR 2021-042, B. McCordy, 1737 County Road 9, legal description, part lot 20, concession 6, North Fredericksburg. Michael, anything that we should know about this application that's coming forward to us? And as I will ask you this question once for all of these. Have we received anyone who wanted to speak for it or against it during the council meeting?
Your Worship, we have not received any comment for any request for individuals to speak for or against any applications.
For any of the applications. Okay, so that's the last time I'll have to ask you that. Okay, Michael, anything that we should be looking at before we look at your recommendation, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. So this was deferred from the previous committee meeting. Due to some potential issues related to entrance permitting with the county and Conservation Authority concerns with regards to proximity of a new entrance to the watercourse on the property. So upon further review, both the county and the Conservation Authority were satisfied that a new entrance can be accommodated to service the proposed severed lot. The entrance would be located west of the culvert, west of the location that the culverts cross County Road 9 to the south, and the entrance would be wholly contained on the severed lot. So it wouldn't be a mutual driveway, but they would be fairly close together, but within county regulations as far as entrance permitting goes. So the Conservation Authority has also identified a small building envelope that can be accommodated on the severed lot. So they were originally contemplating the requirement for an environmental impact statement and floodplain mapping. However, upon further site review, they were able to identify a building envelope on the severed lot. So with those review comments from the county and from the Conservation Authority, as well as other commenting agencies, staff are supportive of the proposal to sever the 17-hectare parcel from the land holding.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Any questions directed or comments directed to Michael with regard to this application? Seeing none, you do have a recommendation before you that the committee receive for information the technical report regarding application PLCOR 2021-042, and further that the application be to sever a 17-hectare parcel be approved, subject to the conditions as contained within your agenda. Moved by Councillor Richardson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kaiser. If there are no further comments or questions, all in favor of the motion? None opposed. Motion is carried. Thank you. 5.2, land severance application PLCOR 2021-046, Hudson Group Inc., 21 Pleasant Drive, legal description, part lot 22, concession 4. Michael, with this one, anything you wish to comment on or bring to the attention of council, please?
Thank you, Worship. This item 5.2 and the next item 5.3 both pertain to the same property. So there are proposed to be two severed lots from the parcel at the southerly end. However, the county has identified a potential entrance permitting issue there, and they're hoping for the applicant to reconsider the lot fabric that they're seeking. So staff have provided the county's comments to the applicant, and we're waiting for further comment from the applicant as to how they would like to reconfigure the lot fabric. The county's comments speak to a required amount of frontage to accommodate 2 lots on County Road 41 specifically. County Road 41's more restricted highway, more restricted road than other county roads. So due to a slight lack of frontage, the county is not supportive of 2 severed lots, regardless of a mutual entrance to service those lots. So the county is hoping for the applicant to not request two severed lots, but rather 1. So we're waiting to hear back from the applicant with regards to those comments.
Council's questions or comments directed to Mr. Nobes on this one. So you do have a recommendation to defer due to the County of Lennox and Addington's concerns. Council's wishes. Deputy Mayor Kaiser, Councilor Pennell, moving and seconding. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. We have the same thing for 5.3. Michael, anything different on this? All the same? Okay, I see a motion being made by Deputy Mayor Kaiser as to the recommendation. Councilor McCormack. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. PLCOR 2021-049, L. Lyman K. Webb, 4578 County Road 9, legal description, part lot 16, concession for Adolphustown. You have a recommendation that council receive the information, but Michael, is there anything that we should be looking at that is different from, or something that we should know about before a decision is made by the Committee of Adjustments, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing totally out of the ordinary. There are some smaller sized lots within close proximity of this proposed severed lot. And the typical test that conservation authorities have been using when proposing for committees of adjustment and councils to consider hydrogeological assessments, that comment has been made. There are the proposed severance meets the test, so staff are proposing that a hydrogeological study be completed once the well is installed on the proposed severed lot. So a typical 2-acre rural severance with the additional condition to undertake a hydrogeological study to confirm adequate amount of water to service both the proposed lot and not cause adverse impacts to adjacent lands.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions directed to Mr. Nobes on this application? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make a comment that it is really nice to see that as more and more severed lots are created in our community, it has become almost standard practice that there be a test to ensure that the well systems don't affect neighboring lots, because that was something that people talked to us about a lot last year, and the conservation authorities are very aware of the concerns and on top of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pennell, and then I'll go to Deputy Mayor Kaiser.
Thank you, through your worship. Michael, just a question. Let's say that on the proposed severance that a new well is drilled or blasted or whatever, and you do a hydrology study. Is that going to be the permanent well, or are we just talking like a little 3-inch well? Like, because my question is that if it doesn't pass and now we have a well, what stops then the severance from not going through? Yet the original owner of 4578, I'm just using that number as an example. What stops him from using that well and depleting the water supply?
Through your worship, that's a good question. So the way the condition reads is that a hydrogeological study be completed using the well that is drilled and installed on the property, and adjacent lands are tested. However, there is not a requirement to cap the well. So let's assume that the study comes back and it does not yield satisfactory results, meaning adverse impacts to adjacent lands or there isn't enough water. That's a very good point. It could be added into the conditions that if the hydrogeological study does not yield satisfactory results to the municipality, that the well be capped and closed, or I can't remember the exact terminology, but essentially rendered not of use. So if that is a concern of the committee, that certainly can be added as a standard condition moving forward. But as of right now, say the well's drilled and the study comes back with insufficient water supply, as the conditions are written now, the well could be used by the proponent of 4578.
Mhm. Okay. I personally myself, I'd like to see something in there that the well is abandoned and capped and sealed or something along those lines, but I also leave that up to the rest of the members of the committee as well.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Kaiser.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I mean, I was curious about that too, because, and I guess my question really was about the awareness of the applicant. Have they had this fully explained to them? Because on the surface, when you look at, I'm going to sever off a lot, I'm going to sell it for some, money or whatever. I mean, I don't know what their MO is on doing this, but the idea of imposing a hydro study could be cost prohibitive. It could make it unattractive then at that point to go through the process just to sever off a building lot, unless there was some other reason to do it or extreme value or whatever. So is that all known and understood? Because that could be a reason to not go through the process if it suddenly becomes cost prohibitive, or if there isn't the assurance of capturing enough at this point of sale, if that was the intention.
Through your worship.
So I guess the question is about communication. Sorry.
Sure. At time of application, it's sometimes hard to tell if a hydrogen study would be required. So unfortunately, applicants are almost submitting a little bit blind in that sense. If they're in a very dense area, it's very easy to alert them of that requirement. But in this case, it did take a little bit more staff time to review the lots in the vicinity and confer with Conservation Authority. So at the outset, no, the applicant was not completely aware of the requirement for hydrogen study. So if they, if council approves the application and the applicant finds that it's going to be cost prohibitive, they can essentially walk away from the application at that point. But some numbers that staff have heard recently, looking in the $5,000 to $6,000 range for a study. So, lots, I'm not sure exactly what lots are going for these days, but I don't believe it's entirely cost prohibitive for the overall sale. But it could yield an insufficient supply of water, in which case they've installed a well and they're out money for a study as well. So it's a bit of a balancing act on the applicant's end for determining their path forward.
Anything further from council? So you do have a recommendation before you, council, but I hear that you may want some other things put in that it would be subject to. So I need to know, do you want to go with the staff recommendation? What is it you want to do with this? Deputy Mayor Kaiser?
I'm going to propose staff recommendation, but, and I'm going to make that motion, but as a side note, maybe on future ones, we'll consider doing a little consultation with the Conservation Authority and making sure that we're considering that possibility that Councillor Pennell raised on future applications, that we're not setting up a well that could become a well, even though it's deemed inappropriate.
Okay.
I don't want to hold this one up necessarily, so I'm just going to say staff recommendation.
Okay, staff recommendation moved by Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Pennell. Any further comments or questions? If not, all in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Now, the last one is 5.5, CNC Tyner, 289 Henderson Road, PLLA 2021-052. Legal description, Park Lot 11 and 12, Concession 11, Richmond. Michael, anything that we should know about this before we deal with it? It is a lot addition.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, that is correct. It's a lot addition from a very large parcel, adding a significant amount of land to an abutting residential parcel to increase the land holding of the residential lands. So it's a fairly straightforward application, no impacts on sewage systems or wells, increasing the size of one already developed lot slightly and decreasing the size of a currently vacant larger lot. Staff have included in condition D that road widening be conveyed to the municipality. As we've seen on Henderson Road in previous applications, it's a very narrow right of way, and Capital Works staff are looking for road widening to accommodate the future road improvements from this.
Thank you. Thank you. Any Deputy Mayor Kaiser?
Thank you, Your Worship. I understand what's going on, I think. In the sketch included, though, it shows severed Part A, severed Part B, both as additions to the centerpiece, I guess, if you will. But we're doing it as one severance, not two severances, even though they're indicated as Part A and Part B. Is that correct?
Through Your Worship, if you can zoom in on the sketch on the north side of severed parcel A, all the way across the north lot line of that severed parcel and the adjacent residential land, the applicant has drawn in that they want to connect the dots essentially to make it all one large part. It may not show up very well, but that's the intention.
It looked like bad highlighting, but I understand now. Okay.
Anything else from council on this one? If not, to do a recommendation, staff recommendation before you. Moved by Councillor Fennell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kaiser. Is there no further comments and questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Motion for adjournment. Moved by Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor McCormack. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. See you shortly.